Welcome to episode 28, the Peep Show episode 28 of Bare Naked Bravery. My name is Emily Ann Peterson, and I am your host. I'm a singer-songwriter, a musician, and a marketing consultant, and I host this awesome show and this awesome group of people who submit some super great questions, like today's question, which comes from Colton Foster, who is my buddy. He's my friend, my very good friend. He has some really stellar questions, one of which I'm going to answer today, which is, how do you balance self-care with self-discipline? And the way I interpret that is basically, how do you do self-care without going soft, becoming a softie? I think it's such a good question, and it's something that we really are, as creative misfits, we have to do this. We have to have discipline, and we have to have self-care at the same time. And how do you have compassion for yourself, yet want to grow and become a better person and become more brave and become a sharper tool in the box, basically? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I don't know if I have all of the answer, but I can give you my side of it, and I'm happy to do so. It is definitely something that is a joy to help my fellow creative misfits along in their creative journey and careers. And this is the stuff that matters. And this is the stuff that makes our careers last a long time and feel good. Even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, it feels good, you know. This is the stuff that we're also talking about in the new class, Guts, it's called, and it's going to be really great. I'm really pumped about it. We've got some awesome people already registered, and it's basically, to give you the gist, I'll talk a little bit at the end of this episode, but it's basically 6 weeks of applying these bravery concepts that we talk about on the podcast to your unfinished project, or I should say one of your unfinished projects, because you probably have more than one, like I do. So I'm going to be going through the class with you guys. We get to work through pushing this unfinished project from collecting dust to shining and out there, and it's going to be a blast. I really enjoy teaching classes that are live and have a real person element in part of them, and this is not just a class that you're going to purchase and then never watch. It is a thing that you actually have to attend in order to participate. So I'm really excited about it. Go to barenakedbravery.com/guts to check it out and see more information. And if you have any questions at all, like, I don't know if my unfinished project would be good for this class, then feel free to shoot me an email, hi@emilyannpeterson.com. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. So let's get to this question. So we were talking about self-discipline versus self-care. We need both of them. We need the self-discipline to stay sharp and to grow and to become a better, more whole person, to become the person that we want to become, right? But we also need self-care, because sometimes the discipline bit is a little hard, or sometimes the world is hard and we can't do full-on discipline on ourselves without giving way and kind of crumbling. So there is definitely a balance that we have to find between that discipline and the self-care. You know, I have a long history with this, learning where this balance is. In high school, I had an eating disorder, and that was all sorts of self-discipline. Trigger warning here, I would work out for hours and hours and hours. I mean, the majority of the day I would work out and eat almost nothing. And then inevitably that self-discipline would have a downward spiral effect, and I'd find myself in a binge. So I would be swinging back and forth between this like full nourishment to full discipline all the time. And it was exhausting and scary too. Scary is the right word, because it's not just exhausting, it was terrifying. When you are full discipline towards yourself, there is the growth that you see from that full discipline. I don't know, I haven't seen it personally, that is beneficial for everyone, yourself included specifically. So I think there is that balance between, or there's that dance that we have to do to find the right balance between self-discipline and self-care. Now, we go swing to the other side of the pendulum, and we talk all about self-care and how do you nourish yourself and stay warm and hospitable towards yourself and compassionate and kind towards yourself. But that stuff doesn't always sound like discipline. It doesn't always sound like growth. Sometimes nourishment, or hig, I think that's how you say it. I'm actually, that might not be how you say it. Hygge, Hygge. It is a beautiful term. You should go look it up. Hygge. And if we are in the big sweaters, warm wool socks, eating popcorn by the fire kind of season of our life, that is wonderful. That kind of self-care feels good. It feels nourishing. It feels comfortable. But if we stay there for too long, we might our ass might meld to the couch. So metaphorically, right? So if we are full on compassion, then sometimes that can feel at sometimes like we're not being very strong or not being very powerful. However, I would beg to differ that sometimes compassion feels really uncomfortable. So sometimes that self-care isn't the squishy, warm fuzzies that we always imagine it to be. Sometimes the self-care is, in the case of one of my good friends in my area, she had to lay down a really difficult boundary between herself and someone else in her life. And that boundary had to get repeatedly laid down for a week. And it was uncomfortable and exhausting, but she felt good. And she was able to prove to herself that that boundary was self-care. So self-care isn't always that warm, squishy stuff, but it can be. I think the balance between that self-discipline and self-care is something that we have to discover over time. So sorry, Colton, not an easy answer for you. But I have a feeling that you knew that was coming, and I'm sure you're giggling about it right now. So I encourage you, if you are struggling with this balance between self-care, compassion, kindness towards yourself, and self-discipline, keep sticking yourself to a regimen of, say it's practicing your instrument or getting work done or productivity or pushing that project out there. I encourage you to open yourself up to stay sensitive. And I know that sounds kind of strange, or at least it might sound kind of strange in this context, but if you can open yourself up to stay sensitive, then that sensitivity can guide you to where you're erring too much on the side of self-care or too much on the side of going soft or whatever that means, and too much on the other side of, I'm being too mean towards myself, I'm being too strict. There's that healthy balance, and you have to use your intuition and your sensitivity to find it and to move through it. So I would also follow that up with, if you're going about this in the intuitive sensitivity route, you're going to mess it up. You're going to fuck it up real bad. So I can guarantee you. But I think that's also where the self-care and the compassion comes in, is that when you do mess up, or you do find out that, whoa, I really pushed myself way too hard today, if you take a deep breath and come back to that center place between those two places, take a deep breath and open yourself up and be sensitive again, then you'll be able to feel that boundary more easily. If you are curious about this, I encourage you to go back and listen to the episode I did on setting difficult boundaries, because that pertains, or the parts of it pertain to this discussion that we're talking about right now. That where is my yes, where is my no? That's what we talk about in that episode. So if you are trying to find where your yes is and your no is in regards to self-discipline and self-care, go back and listen to that episode, and I think there'll probably be some more in-depth answers for you there. But in general, I would say take a deep breath, open yourself up, and be sensitive, and that's gonna be the way to do it. I think that these kinds of questions are so amazing. I know that Colton has 2 more questions that are coming up in the next couple weeks that I'm going to answer. He submitted some really good questions. If you have some questions you'd like to submit, or you want to submit a question, you want to stay anonymous, I don't have to say your name at all, please go to barenakedbravery.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom. There will be a link that says submit a question, and you can submit. Actually, you can write your question down, and then you can also submit a voice memo recording of yourself. You can use that with your phone, and then drop that file into Dropbox so we can have a link to it. I would love to have your voicemail memo on the show. You can leave that there on the submit a question page for Bare Naked Bravery. Again, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the homepage, and that link will be there waiting for you. Right next to that link, I'll just tell you this, right next to that link is also a link to nominate someone else to be on the show. If you know of someone who is super brave, even if they do not have to be famous, that is definitely not a requirement. They don't have to have written a book or done anything fancy. If you think they are brave, then they are worthy of being on the show. So go ahead and submit and nominate them. I would love to talk with you or them about all of that. So go to, again, barenakedbravery.com, scroll all the way down. There's a link to submit a question and submit a guest. So in the meantime, if neither of those links apply to you and you are curious about these kinds of questions in regards to your productivity and in regards to getting and putting stuff out there and putting yourself out there, go ahead and check out the Guts class and see if you are the right fit for it. Again, if you have any questions or anything you need to chat with me about, my email is hi@emilyannpeterson.com, and I would love to hear from you. I really would. Have a great rest of your weekend. I really, really, really want you to know that we need your bravery. We need your vulnerability. We need your improvisation. We need your intuition and your sensitivity and your imagination, because we need your bare naked bravery.